Okay, so I know you've heard of Rome and you've heard of the Mongols, but have you heard of the empire that controlled the Silk Road and then vanished without a trace? Well, if you haven't, let me introduce you to the Khazar Khaganate. Welcome back to the channel. Before we get into it, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of our supporters. Your support really does mean the world to us and allows us to keep bringing these videos to everyone for free. If you're not yet a supporter, but would like to help us out, check the links below. And with that said, let's get into it. So picture this. Over 1,000 years ago, somewhere between the Black Sea and Central Asia, there existed an empire so vast and powerful that it controlled the very lifeline of the ancient world, the Silk Road. Now, if you've ever heard of the Silk Road, you probably know that it was a network of trade routes that connected the East and the West. But what you may not have realized is that the Silk Road wasn't just a bunch of routes. It was an entire system. It had its own infrastructure, its own security forces, its own way of doing things. And at the heart of it all was the Khazar Khaganate, also sometimes known as the Khazar Empire. The Khazars were a nomadic people who came together in the 6th century CE to form a loose confederation of tribes. Under the leadership of their supreme ruler, the Khagan, they quickly grew to become one of the most powerful empires of their time. At its peak, the Khazar Empire stretched from the Black Sea to the Caspian Sea, controlling key cities like Constantinople and Bukhara. The empire was a melting pot of cultures, home to people of Turkic, Iranian, Slavic, and even Jewish descent. And the capital city of Atil was a true marvel of the ancient world, a cosmopolitan center of trade and culture with a population of over 1 million people. But what really set the Khazars apart was their mastery of trade. They controlled the very heart of the Silk Road, and the riches that flowed through their hands were unimaginable. Silk, spices, gold, ivory and gemstones from the east and glassware, textiles and silver from the west. All of it flowed through the Khazar Empire and into the coffers of the Khazar kings. But here's the thing about being a master of trade, it makes you a target. And the Khazars had plenty of enemies, like the Vikings to the north, the Rus people to the west, and the expanding Islamic caliphates to the south. By the 10th century, the Khazar Empire was under siege. Viking and Rus armies were ravaging their cities and Islamic forces were encroaching on their lands. Within decades, the empire was in sharp decline. In their hour of need, the Khazars turned to the one thing that had sustained them for centuries, their mastery of trade. They negotiated peace deals with their enemies, offering them valuable goods in exchange for safe passage through their lands. But it wasn't enough. By the mid-10th century, the Khazar Khaganate was no more. Their cities were in ruins and their empire was a memory. Today, not much remains of the Khazar Khaganate. A few crumbling ruins and artifacts scattered across the steppes of Central Asia are all that's left to tell the tale of this once mighty empire. And yet, despite their disappearance from the pages of history books, the Khazars continue to fascinate scholars to this day. One of the biggest mysteries surrounding the Khazars is their conversion to Judaism. In the 8th century, a Khazar king named Bulan is said to have converted to Judaism, along with a significant portion of his elite.